Hello and welcome. It's episode 29 of the 90-Day Website Mastery Podcast, the perfect companion to our 90-Day Website Mastery Program. We're excited to bring you even more valuable insights and practical advice to help you enhance your website's performance. Join us as we explore strategies to make your website work harder for you, reigniting your pride in your online presence. I'm here with my co-host, Pascal and Jonny. You all right, Pascal?
I'm very well, thank you very much. I've had a quick look at the show notes. This is once again packed full with advice, practical kind of applications, but also, and we're going to introduce more and more AI advice.
Absolutely. We've got 4 segments as always. We've got the You Ask, We Answer. We have website stories where we take an article and we dissect it and give you our reactions. We then move on to the website engine room where myself and Pascal bring an app or a piece of kit that's going to make your life easier as a website manager or website content creator. And of course, the website call to action to finish off, which is one small change or adjustment that you could be making to your website right now. And of course, Pascal, we have the randomizer, the action randomizer that we've added to our website, and that is all of our call to actions that we've suggested so far.
Yes, this is our kind of second free gift. We didn't wait long. This is only episode 29, as you mentioned. So you've got the ebook to begin with, a selection of 50 top apps and tech that can really help you feel proud of your website again. And as you mentioned a moment ago, the action randomizer. So the 2 activities you can do right now for your business.
Yeah, you'll find those in the show notes or just head over to 90daywebsitemastery.com. For now, let's start on our first segment, which is You Ask, We Answer.
Now, this is interesting. So I was having a bit of a kind of discovery call with a prospective client a few days ago. And we were talking, of course, that I've more formally introduced AI training consultancy as part of my delivery. And the question actually was really, really interesting. And I thought I will ask you again to get a unique perspective, Jonny. So here it is. Can AI help me with my SEO campaign? Do you have any tips for me to use ChatGPT or Google Gemini to optimize my website content? And if you're only listening to the audio version, you won't be able to see Jonny literally jumping up and down at the prospect of sharing his advice about AI plus SEO. We could talk about this for a while, so I've decided that we're going to give ourselves a brief, and we're only going to focus for this episode on page optimization, and then next time, you and I can explore off-page optimization, the other facet of SEO. But here it is, on-page optimization, with everything that comes with it. Can AI help with that element of your SEO campaign? What say you, Jonny Ross?
I think AI has changed SEO. I really do. I mean, I was joking with you in the green room just then. ChatGPT has been down for 2.5 hours this morning across the some worldwide users, and it's felt like my right arm has disappeared. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't use it for absolutely everything, but I certainly use it as a colleague. I use it as someone I can brainstorm with. I use it as someone that I can go off and perform research, analyze, and enhance my thinking. So it's being able to tap into a team of different people, different experts. So I think the way it's changed SEO is from an on-page point of view is being able to analyze current content, to analyze data in terms of traffic across the website, in terms of what pages are engaging and what aren't. So you can use a lot of the GA4 data and input that into AI tools. Not only that, you can use it for keyword research, for finding out FAQs, people that are particularly asking, questions. So thinking about your target audience. In fact, even just thinking about your target audience, you can use AI to define who your target audience is, be really targeted, really tap into some of their pain points, and then start using AI to find out what questions they're using to Google, and then thinking about how you can structure some of that content on your page. And I've not even got into some of the technical sides yet. I mean, there's just so much that AI can do to enhance your SEO.
I love the way you've kind of described it as a team, and that's tough because, listen, all of us, you and I included, we spend the part of 3 decades using a search engine where we punch in 3, 4, 5, 6 words, maybe if you get a bit fancy, and then you have to wrestle with the search results. And here we're having conversations, and it's not as easy as it sounds, and people, I train individuals to put together the prompts or the briefs, as I prefer to call them, but decided to kind of almost split the different aspect of on-page optimization to a number of virtual assistant. I think is very, very helpful, because otherwise it could be quite overwhelming. And I've seen this situation where people ask actually quite a broad question or many questions at the same time, and then within seconds there's a deluge of information. Of course, you've got to fact check and so on. But the point is, sometimes people put too much pressure on themselves because they don't break it down into meaningful tasks. And I think the idea of a team is very helpful. And think of it as they're going to report back to you, not all at the same time. It's not like 5 or 6 people all barging in through the door of the office saying, "Boss, boss, boss, I want you to listen to my bit about SEO." But I want to, because I will ask you to get into the technical side, is if, as and when you listen to this series, you come across information that you don't know, that is new to you, then don't let that stop you. Literally use AI first as a form of self-study and to be educated. So I will ask you, Jonny, about schema markups, because they're very, very important. They were part of the call to action in the last episode. So if you don't know about schema markups or what they mean, or even how they are kind of crafted, you can begin by being educated first, and then bring what Jonny mentioned a moment ago, your audience profiling, bring your sales strategy, and then ask for advice on, can you give me some draft suggestions on how you would actually write the schema markups for my business with that audience in mind and that service. But what other ways would you say the technical side of SEO could be supported by AI?
Well, interestingly, take Schema as an example, and take the plugin Rank Math, which is a highly optimized WordPress plugin for applying SEO onto your website and schema markup, etc. What's really interesting, and I was having a bit of an experiment with ChatGPT. We were looking at how to implement some schema on a particular website, and we were looking at doing this through Rank Math. And we're going back a tiny bit here, but we were looking at some of the user guides and the help guides and the knowledge base on Rank Math. And whilst there was lots of step-by-step guides, I decided to just see what ChatGPT had to say. And what was really interesting was ChatGPT's output was a far simpler, bite-sized, step-by-step guide than Rank Math's own knowledge bases. So ChatGPT had sort of read everything that Rank Maths outputted in terms of help guides and turned it into something that's actually even easier to understand. So there's so many ways that you can use it, and it's really about understanding that. From a technical point of view, one of the things that's interesting currently is really analyzing and understanding the top 10 pages that rank for a particular phrase or a particular keyword in Google. And I don't mean just by the content itself, but the structure of the content, the way the content's written. Is it written in first person, second person, third person? How's it structured? How's it answering that question, and trying to find patterns across those different pieces of content so that you can then produce something that clearly Google is liking. So what are the commonalities between those 10 pages that rank on page 1 that then you can introduce into your content? And what's interesting is some of the findings are remarkable in terms of structures that you just hadn't considered. So I think that's one example of how you could use it.
Yeah, this is excellent. So now there's 2 questions. Can I help me my SEO campaign? It's a resounding yes. Tips on optimization. We've looked at on page today. We'll look at the off page next time. But if everyone, just rethink about the experience of a visitor, from the title you've chosen to the images you've chosen, and whether they are optimized and obviously tagged correctly, the way you've structured and broken down the content. Have you added media interest? All those things you can be reflecting on it with a conversation style type support, as opposed to, as you mentioned a moment ago, punching a search term, download a 20-page PDF, and still be no further forward in terms of taking action. So for me, AI can help with clarity, with understanding. It can help with critiquing what's there already, but also make you think about things that either you knew but you've forgotten about, and that can happen. the curse of knowledge, but also new ways of doing things. But for me, if I would begin with actually get that sales strategy reviewed and critiqued by AI to begin with. Have you got that really, really perfect? And then by extension, do you have the right audience profiling and the naming and labeling of the product and services? Have you got that right? Begin with that strong foundation, and everything else you can apply. And if you find on-page optimization interesting, I would encourage you to seek out one of the webinars that we recorded, Jonny, when we launched, obviously, the 90-day website mastery program, where you and I go into quite a bit of deep dive on page and off-page optimization. But time is against us, sadly, and we have to move on to our next segment, the website stories. Now, this is an interesting selection. We normally go for an article, a podcast, a video, maybe an infographics that we can review, you and I, and kind of reflect what it means to be in charge of a website in today's economy. And I chose this article almost by error. I had something else in mind altogether, but I thought, no, I'll stick with it because actually, on reflection, this will work. So the title is as follows, an article for entrepreneur.com. This is the winning formula for starting a successful podcast. And my true intention was actually to share it with you privately and go, oh, well, let's review and let's make sure that we're doing everything we can for our audience in terms of being useful and helpful. So this obviously was written as part of a research exercise. The author is Sherin Shibu, and she was helped by her colleague Melissa Malamut as the editor. And listen, people, don't skip this section just because you have no plans of starting a podcast. I do believe, Jonny, this would be relevant for any form of content series, whether it's a blog article, whether you're going to do video Q&As, even social media campaign with a particular focused theme. I think this will work well as a way of reflecting. I keep saying that those website story selection, they feel like you should pass that around the office and then have a catch up with your colleagues. So this is a study that looked at the top 50 podcasts in the US. We need to be careful about cultural differences and preferences. And they're looking for what do they have in common that may suggest that this could be a formula for success. And we need to go with it in a way that is more pragmatic. Correlation and causation are very different things, but it's important to have a look at this. So in no particular order, and please everybody do follow the link in the show notes and read the article in full, the study found, Jonny, that the average length of the top podcasts in the US was around 65 minutes. Interesting. So, of course, some were shorter, some were longer. More than half, 60% of them had more than one host, so a bit of a duo or trio kind of experience. And nearly 3 in 4 of those top podcasts had at least one guest on the show on a regular basis, providing a different way. So there's more about it, but I wanted to kind of focus on audience profiling and audience preferencing. So the vast majority of podcast listeners will use Spotify at 64%, and then it's followed by Apple Podcast and a teeny percentage of 6% for YouTube Music. So I know there's a lot of marketing by YouTube Music, but beware the marketing of marketing. Doesn't mean to say that they're going to take over the world. But to me, it's very important whether, again, you're going to go for blog series, video series, to understand about distribution. And this is where podcasts, I think, have a lot to teach everybody, because when you write for the web, Jonny, and you publish on your website, or if you do a video, it's on YouTube, you still haven't solved the issue of distribution of that content, whereas podcasting does a much better job. But this is something that could be interesting. 70% of listeners go back to a show because the host offer new information or new perspectives. And I have to say, I was almost like giving myself a round of applause, because that's what we do with this particular show. But bear in mind, all of you, with a new blog series or new video series, it's about new information and new perspective. Very, very important. But I thought that was interesting. 36% actually would come back due to the host's expertise. So if you reverse it, Jonny, that means that you don't have to be an expert in what you want to be referring to or investigating, so long as you offer this in a way that is engaging. So that also kind of kills that demon for all my clients about, I'm not an expert, I can't possibly be right about this. It's not a requirement. And then what reason would people actually tune out of a podcast? There's a number of items listed in the article, but I wanted to kind of mention this 3 to you at the very end. If the podcast is overly scripted or rehearsed, then people tune out. If the host speaks in monotone voice, they tune out. And if they share lengthy or irrelevant anecdotes, they tune out. And that would be true for the written form. If you write in a way that is very monotone, or back to your point earlier, it's poorly structured, it feels a bit too over-engineered, whether it's a video as well. And more importantly, you've got to share your stories and case studies that are relevant, or people will switch off. There's a lot more in the article, so we've got to thank again the hard work from the team there, ultimately.com. But I thought, for what it was, I thought, no, I've made a mistake. You shouldn't be part of the show. I think that this is actually very informative.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, that stat on 64% of podcast listeners are using Spotify. I mean, I think if you were to ask the majority of people, they'd have said the answer was Apple. But I think we need to bear in mind that Spotify is a huge player in the market. And for me, business podcasts, if we certainly focus on sort of business podcasts, I think a lot of people are wanting to learn. And so that backs up that 70% are wanting new information or perspectives. Interestingly, I liked how you flipped the host's expertise. So 64%, you could say, don't actually have to be an expert in that topic. I think it's about how they engage, how they understand, and how they interview the guest. Certainly if they're not the expert, I'm assuming they're going to have a guest who is the expert. So that would be about the interview skills and the sort of engagement skills. But yeah, I think ultimately podcast listeners are after learning. They want to better themselves. They want to better their business. So it's about how can you add value, which, you know, like you've rightly said, you could take this into any form of content, whether it be audio, video, or blog series content. So how can you add value is really important. How can you teach people and give those sort of how-to, that helpful, resourceful content. That's what a successful podcast is all about.
No, absolutely. And I think for me, it's back to this idea of, on behalf of your audience, you've launched an investigation. And you share your findings, you share your surprises, your disappointments, and so on, which is why actually this thing about expertise is not always true. Now, for sure, when you want to do podcasting to raise your brand and awareness and, of course, your expertise, there will be some elements of that. But when you talk about inviting a guest that will have expertise that will supplement yours, I think that's what we are talking about. Because the risk, of course, if you're too anxious to showcase your expertise, you will almost fall into this idea of being over-promotional in terms of the delivery, the structure, and the content. And that's one of the top reasons people will tune out of a blog series, an email newsletter, a podcast, or a video Q&A.
Yeah, you don't want to be too salesy at all. Very important, you know, avoid that self-promotion. It's about having a balance. I think it's important if you are giving your time away for free. I think it is important to have some promotion, but it's about having a real good balance and really considering, why are these people giving time up to listen, and what do they want to get out of this? So, you know, it has to be focused on the audience. Absolutely has to be focused on the audience.
Super. So everyone, let us know what you think of this very quick overview of the article. Please click on the link in the show notes and read everything for yourself. And yeah, what are your plans for the future in terms of your content series, and what will you do a bit differently over the coming months? We would love to know about it. But for now, let's move on to our next segment, the Website Engine Room. Now, each time we share 2 apps, 2 software solutions, or a piece of kit that can make life easier as a website content creator or manager. So, Jonny, what is your selection?
Well, my latest find in terms of AI-powered transcription services, because there's a lot out there, but my latest find, I think, is phenomenal in terms of the quality, but also the price is so low as well. So it's called Transcript LOL, transcript.lol. It's an advanced AI-powered transcription service that converts content from videos and podcasts into written text. And it's equipped to handle a wide range of media types, including videos, podcasts, interviews, webinars, and much more. And you can literally record anything. So it could be a podcast that's already out there, a video that's already out there, or it could just be something that you've recorded on your phone, and you can very easily transcribe that. You could, recording a meeting even, very easily transcribe that. But the the brilliant thing about it is that it's built for podcasters, it's built for vloggers, and it outputs not just the transcript but all sorts of different things, from social media posts to it repurposes that content, so blog posts, LinkedIn articles, email campaigns. Of course, you need to bring some human content and thought into this, not just using what it produces and sending it there and then, but the amount of weightlifting it can take off in terms of the time it can deliver is unbelievable.
You know what's exciting is that there's obviously a lot of services out there that would be more, human intensive, and those agencies, they shouldn't fear AI. They should actually embrace it, because they're going to be able to provide value-add services. Saying, well, the transcription will be done, client. Let's move on to something more meaningful in terms of our services. Let's take over the advanced SEO technique. Let's take over the online PR side, because that bit that was so resource intensive and time consuming is now being kind of shrank down to just minutes, not hours, in terms of units. So
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about what's happening. And you're right, there are so many options out there. Just find the one that works for you and make sure that you squeeze value, because I have too many clients, Jonny, that have moved on to AI solutions, but they use them very superficially. So they pay their monthly fee, but they've not really delved into the belly of the beast, or even asked for a video demo from the account manager to get more value from their investment.
So, what is your app for this week?
So this one came about following a bit of a coaching session with a client. So we were reviewing the half year that was at the time of recording this episode, and we found some top performing articles and landing pages and so on, and we were looking at ways to get more traffic to those pages, as you would do, a bit of a tactic. We went through a bit of a checklist on what makes a perfect blog article, if there's such a thing. And one thing that we're missing was quotes and citations from authorities and experts, if you will. So they were making a point or giving an advice, or recapping on an important issue. And I said that will be just a finishing touch for you to be seen and her being helpful by having done the research on behalf of your audience. A quote, a citation, a stat, even, that would supplement, your argument. So I found something called Consensus.app. And what is interesting about Consensus.app, it's almost like Google Books and all the others we mentioned in the show, but on a turbocharge, because you can ask a question as you would a search engine, or you could even ask it back a yes and no question. And what this AI-powered platform does, it researches all the papers and all the kind of research and journaling that has been done by experts it give you both sides of the argument, which I think is very, very clever. So it's not just a yes, I know. It's a yes for some of those individuals here, but it's a no from them, and it's a maybe from the others. So you get a rounded view of the particular challenge or question that you have, and then you can literally copy and paste quotes, citations, you have the named individuals, you have links to their kind of white papers and so on. It's very, very clever, and will save you a mountain of time and transform the experience of going through your blog articles and more.
I'm really excited about that app. I think what a great gap in the market for being able to find content that backs up what you're saying, or even challenges what you're saying. So and finds people that have been cited many, many times for a quote that they've made. Wow, an app that just instantly delivers it within seconds, again, using AI.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, of course, do the fact checking. A simple copy and paste on Google will suffice, but it will save you a lot of time. And I think what you do with AI solutions like yours, it inspires you to be more innovative, more ambitious. So I'm having now very different meetings with my clients where we actually are far more ambitious now about our content planning than a few months ago, because of what's possible.
Totally. Let's move on to our last segment, which we always finish on, of course. How can you have some content without the call to action? So it's the website call to action.
So now, in addition to obviously trying out our call to action randomizer on the official website, we're going to give you one more change or adjustment that you should be doing right now to make your website work harder for you. Jonny, what is your recommendation?
So this episode, it's a content delivery network, a CDN. If your website is not using a CDN, now is the time to implement it without fail. A CDN literally just speeds up your website from a global point of view. Even if even if you're not global, don't be put off what I've just said. This is local as well, but also global. By implementing a CDN, it ensures faster user experience worldwide. Why? Because first of all, users expect things instantly. They're on a mobile device. They want it there. And then if your website doesn't load, they will soon click that back button within, a fraction of a second. But more importantly, Google could not have made it any clearer that websites have to be fast. This is no new news, but what is new news is that the number of websites out there that still don't use a CDN, and that is appalling. So if you want to be proud of your website, find out if you're using a CDN, and if not, speak to your web developer and get one implemented.
And back to our earlier comments, if you're not sure what that is at all, use AI to give you a bit of education, a bit of a breakdown. Ask AI to give it to you in simple language as well. And then you can have a meaningful conversation with your developers. That's very exciting. Talking of conversation, my advice is around having a meeting with your colleagues working in sales and customer service. It is very, very important to be sure that your website is truly supporting the business development activities and efforts of your organization. And there's nothing like organizing a meeting, have the drinks and the biscuits, whatever else works in your part of the world, and literally ask the simple question, what are we pushing actively and intentionally over the coming weeks and months? Products and services. I mean, organization will have a lot on offer, but typically sales will behave tactically. Maybe they're looking at time of the year, different seasons, different preferences, maybe using Jonny data from historical, kind of ordering. So there's always something that takes precedent, so find out what is being pushed more over the coming weeks and months, and make sure, therefore, that you've organized what I call spotlight content across the website, whether that's on a homepage, whether that's within reorganizing the FAQ section, whether it's reorganizing the blogs, even by giving a kind of editor's top picks or choice of the month, whatever. But really make sure that this website is adjusting to the sales effort. That would really make a big difference. And I think, in fact, make sure that you get more support for content ideas and beyond from people working in sales and customer service.
Yeah, internal comms, I mean, so important, but so many small businesses are so bad at it. So, improve your internal comms. It's amazing what you can get out of it. We've focused a lot on AI. We're finding we're doing that a lot recently, but how can you not? You don't want to be left behind. AI absolutely has changed search engine optimization, changed it for the better, changed it to make it so much easier, so much quicker, but also so much deeper in terms of the analysis, in terms of the data, in terms of the implementation and the changes that you can make. AI is making it easier to get yourself higher on that Google ladder. We talked about successful podcasting. It's all about having engaging podcasts, none of this monotone, none of this talking over each other. This is about helpful, resourceful content, because people are wanting to learn, they're wanting to be inspired, they're wanting to find out something new. And don't forget that the majority of people, for some reason, are on Spotify, which is very interesting. As always, we've given you a couple of apps and a couple of call to actions to start you feeling proud of your website again.
Thank you very much, Jonny, for this recap. And I must once again remind everybody about our free ebook about the 50 top apps and tech for your website, and of course the call to action randomizer. It's great fun. You get to pick an action for the day and then get on with the work with your team.
That wraps up episode 29 of the 90-Day Website Mastery Podcast, your audio companion to the 90-Day Website Mastery Program. For more information, visit 90daymarketingmastery.com, where you can book a discovery call with either myself or Pascal. It's goodbye for now. We'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage to enjoy whilst you review your notes and actions and take those actions and take those steps forward. Please do subscribe. Leave us a review. It would mean a huge amount. Let us know what you think of the show. Tweet us, or should I say X us?
No, I don't say X us.
Tweet us. Let us know on LinkedIn. But more importantly, leave a review. Let us know and let other people know what you think. It would make a huge difference to us. Thanks so much for listening. Enjoy the video or the audio montage, depending on whether you're listening or watching. Take care. Bye-bye.